fast forward 23 years, we had a decision to make ourselves. We needed to set a precedent for sustainability and decided to divest Unity's entire endowment from every one of the top 200 fossil fuel companies. Nearly 100% of Unity students went on to make decisions like these every day. Decisions that grow greener jobs for those who are ready to take them. They feed, they build, they adapt, and they pave the way for those who will follow. So, when it's time, and with a cap on your head and gown at your back, you look back on what you helped to grow. Just remember to drink it all in. We know you'll be ready. Ready to make the kinds of decisions that people will remember for a long time.
Good evening. Please be seated. Graduate candidates, members of the faculty and staff and families and friends, welcome to this celebration of success and learning. My name is Robert Scott. I'm the incoming Chief Academic Officer at Unity College, and I'm delighted to help us begin this very significant event in the lives of these graduates and their families. I am also quite gratified to be participating in my first Unity College graduation ceremony. First off, I would like to introduce and recognize the stage party. From my far left is Bruce Nickerson, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Stephen Mulkey, President of Unity College. To my right is Julie Briggs Cunningham, Director of Development and Alumni Relations, Gary Zane, Dean for Student Affairs, and Michaela Robinson and Thomas Bednar, two of our graduate candidates. We are here tonight to salute the December graduate candidates and to recognize the Unity College faculty, staff, and community for their efforts in contributing to the success of the students we honor. Students, tonight's celebration is a time of joy. Most of all, but also a time of reflection. It is a time to think about what you have achieved, about your future, and about those who have helped you along the way. We expect great things from you and hope that you leave Unity expecting great things from yourselves. But you haven't gotten here alone. This celebration is a time we share with family and friends. It is a time we share with the faculty and staff at Unity College who have cared so very much for your education these past years and will remember you fondly as you move off into whatever direction your life takes you. The faculty and staff at Unity College put their hearts, minds, and hands into creating the best college possible so you could have the best education and the best college experience possible. You will be remembered, and we hope that you fondly remember all of us as well. Thank you. At this time, I would like to welcome to the podium Dr. Stephen Mulkey, President of Unity College.
Welcome, proud parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, cousins, and friends of our graduates. Thank you for being here. Welcome, dedicated faculty, staff, and alumni. And welcome and congratulations to the December graduates. Through your efforts inside and outside of the classroom, all of the learning experiences that you have taken advantage of define this place and the people that make it Unity College an extraordinary learning community. Today we recognize you as an important part of the institution's fabric, and we hope that your everyday learning will help you fulfill a lifelong sense of purpose and take your learning to a greater degree. Graduate candidates, you are an extraordinary class that has provided energy to this campus during your experiences here. We celebrate your accomplishments, and we are grateful for your leadership. It is now your opportunity to step out, to take risk, and engage in a world that is in need of college graduates who have both purpose and perspective. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium Mr. Bruce Nickerson, the chair of our board.
Thank you, Dr. Mulkey. Good evening to you all. I feel very privileged to serve as a trustee here at Unity College. On behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, I welcome everyone to tonight's celebration, but I extend my warmest wishes and congratulations to you, our soon-to-be graduates. I sincerely thank you for choosing Unity several years ago and persevering to earn your degrees here. Before I hand the stage to Julie Cunningham, I have a quote, a motto, and an ad slogan for you graduates to ponder and consider in the context of your Unity education. Each left an impression on me once upon a time, and while I believe they're all just as relevant today as when I first heard them, I'll let you decide. They're attributable to a unique 17th century French mathematician, a driven 20th century sales manager, and an unconventional 21st century inventor whose brief backstories I recently discovered to be just as impressive. Je pense, donc je suis. Succinct, beautiful, definitive, profound. I think those were a few of the thoughts that raced through my mind in my high school French class when I first heard, spoke, and interpreted this René Descartes quote, "I think, therefore I am." Sadly, despite my affinity for this quote, 35 years have passed, and I know nothing more about René Descartes than this quote. So last week I did a little research and discovered it to be just one nugget of philosophical gold contained within his book, Discourse on the Method of Rightly Conducting One's Reason and of Seeking Truth in the Sciences. Okay, that was a mouthful. The book is considered one of the most influential works in the history of modern philosophy and to the development of natural sciences. Descartes, a mathematician and scientist, sought to uncover the meaning of the natural world with a rational approach. Science and philosophy cohabitating. There's a novel thought. Descartes was born in rural France in 1596, attended a Jesuit college at 8, earned a law degree at 22, and published the signature book at 41. Many referred to him as the father of modern philosophy. I think his book may be worth more of my time. Think. IBM's simple one-word company motto. As a college business student, it caught my attention as a forthright admonishment and inspiration to the employees of IBM. However, my business studies only gave it a passing reference, so my knowledge about its origin and the man behind the motto was pretty vague. So again, I did a little research. In brief, I learned think was coined by Thomas J. Watson in December 1911 while managing the sales and advertising departments at the National Cash Register Company, now known as NCR. At an uninspiring sales meeting, Watson interrupted saying, "The trouble with every one of us is that we don't think enough. We don't get paid for working with our feet, we get paid for working with our heads." Watson then wrote, "Think," on the easel. Asked later what he meant by the slogan, Watson replied, "By think, I mean take everything into consideration. I refuse to make the sign more specific. If a man just sees think, he'll find out what I mean. We're not interested in a logic course." I like this guy. No nonsense. Blunt. Watson left NCR in 1914, brought the motto with him to the company which would later become IBM, and within 11 months was named president at 41. Sounds like 41 was a good year for a few people. He grew up in rural New York where he worked his family farm before taking his first job as a teacher, only to give it up after one day. A one-year course in accounting and business led to work as a bookkeeper before he embarked on a series of jobs as a traveling salesman and peddler. Melick likes to joke about being a traveling salesman, so. When he died in 1956, he was called the world's greatest salesman, and think remains deeply embedded in IBM's culture to this day. A more contemporary and perhaps more poignant variation of IBM's think motto is the 1997 ad slogan, "Think Different." When the slogan was launched, it provoked a witty, irreverent, sublime, and innovative tone. Indeed, Apple Computer, the company behind the slogan, was and still is all of that. More importantly, Think Different was very visibly signaled Apple's rebirth and the return of its creative genius and founder, Steve Jobs, to its customers, competitors, and investors. I had forgotten about Think Different until tripping over it while researching IBM's motto, but the slogan beautifully epitomizes Steve Jobs, Apple, the culture he demanded, and the simple, elegant products he imagined, invented, and willed to life to in turn revolutionize our lives. Jobs' story may be more familiar to some of you. He was born, adopted, and grew up in California. Grade school bored and frustrated him, but his dad was a machinist who taught him the hobby of tinkering, taking apart and reconstructing electronics. As opposed to you folks, he dropped out of college after 6 months, dabbled with creative college classes for 18 months, briefly designed video games, and then literally and spiritually took a trip to India and beyond, seeking enlightenment, before starting Apple Computer at 21 in 1976 with Steve Wozniak. By 1985, he was pushed out of the company he founded, and the corporate world had all but written him off as washed up at 30. I think they may have underestimated him. A few minutes ago, I asked you to consider these quotes. I hope you found them, and the backstory is interesting, but now I could ask you, so what? Why does any of this matter to you? What's the common thread? Here's a thought. If you think your education just concluded with your degree, you're not thinking about what you just spent your college tuition learning. Student life is, or in your case was, pretty cool, but so is real life, as amply illustrated by these three people. Step back, think about your time at Unity. Did you come here to get a degree, or did you come here to learn how to think, to learn how to imagine? I hope it was the latter. Again, congratulations on your degree, but I hope you're truly prepared and, more importantly, are resolved and willing to learn, to think, to imagine so much more. Finally, graduates, as a gesture of appreciation to your guest, please remember why you came tonight. Embrace the moment. Let it wash over you. Please commit to sharing as many smiles, handshakes, hugs, and kisses as you can with your family, friends, and faculty before you leave. They've had your backs. You deserve it. Thank you. Best wishes for success, and happy holidays. I'm now pleased to introduce Julie Briggs-Cunningham, our Director of Development and Alumni Relations.
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of such a momentous occasion in your life. I'm deeply honored to be a part of your history. I want to give those of you wearing purple cords a special thank you. For those of you who don't know what those cords are, they were awarded to students who made a gift to the college. Why the color purple? Interesting facts about this color. It's the rarest color in nature. It relates to spirituality and stimulates the imagination and high ideals. It represents individuality and has the effect of empathy, defined in this instance as kindness and a love of humanity. It is often associated with nobility. As ambassadors of Unity College, infused with critical thinking and high ideals, who have a love of humanity and are environmental leaders, the color seemed just right. Given my title, I know many of you think I'm going to continue to speak to you tonight about giving back to the college from a monetary standpoint. At some time during your life as an alum, that will happen, but that's not the case today. Today I want to speak about philanthropy. What is philanthropy? Many people think philanthropy is strictly about money. Those who have it can afford to be generous. If you look in the dictionary, you will see the definition and origin for the word philanthropy is the love of mankind. Because you are graduating from Unity College, where the inherent objective is to make a difference on the world, making it a better place for all, you are already philanthropic because you're already helping mankind. There are other components of philanthropy. It's not just about money. How many of you have volunteered for some kind of community service while you've been here? Raise your hand. All of you are willing to help those in need and give an important gift, that of your time. What does time mean? To quantify the impact volunteers have, I have some facts and figures, so yes, this is your very last math problem. You can't get out of school without it. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the U.S. Department of Labor, almost 63 million people volunteered for an organization at least once during the last year. The median number of hours spent on volunteer activities was 50. Using the independent sector average of $20 per hour as a rate of volunteer time, this would be an impact, and I'm going to give you the answer so you don't have to actually shout it out. This would be an impact of almost $65 billion. So see, you've already been a part of something that monumental. Another interesting footnote, as you know, Unity College is very interested in wellness. Several healthcare groups have done several studies, and helping others also has a benefit on your heart by lowering the rate of heart disease. So really, giving from the heart actually does help the heart. As you join the ranks of Unity alumni, please know there will always be a place for your input in the alumni office. To achieve the bold goals of the strategic plan will take all of us. I am asking you now to consider being an active alum and volunteering to help us continue to advance the mission of the college. Give your ideas, give your time, and when you see the impact of our partnership, consider more. Let me ask you this: what is philanthropy to you, and what have you done to support that definition? I will also end with a quote from Albert Einstein, that the value of a person resides in what they give and not in what they are capable of receiving, which translates to share yourselves. Congratulations on your achievement. I look forward to hearing from all of you on where your journey takes you in life. Thank you, and it's now my pleasure to introduce your student representatives, Thomas Bedner and Michaela Robinson. Thank you.
It is a real honor and privilege to talk to you tonight. And as we look into the audience, we do not just see our fellow classmates, but we see our community and future environmental leaders. As we look back into the beginning of life experience, we've had a sense of fear and unknowing what was going to happen. But it didn't take long for the Unity experience to make these feelings go away and realize that we're all gaining many worthwhile memories and great friends.
From Dave Potter's random rants to Zach Falcon greeting us with an enthusiastic "Ahoy, mateys!" Even the occasional person walking up to us in the cafeteria asking, "Would you like to stop a pipeline today?" Unity College really made you feel like part of a family that had an overall common goal to do something good.
Now, this is not a speech about how good Unity College is or how you can benefit from it. You already paid for it or are paying for it. This is just a time for us to say thank you for being so accepting and kind throughout our 4 years here.
At this point, we would just like to leave our graduating class with a message from no one better than Ellen DeGeneres. If we're destroying our trees and destroying our environment and hurting animals and hurting one another and all that stuff, there's got to be a very powerful energy to fight that. I think we need more love in the world. We need more kindness, more compassion, more joy, more laughter. I definitely want to contribute to that.
Unity College has definitely taught us all a little of these things. Thank you for giving us some of your time, and congratulations to this year's graduating class.
Thank you, and now I ask President Stephen Mulkey to come up to the podium.
Thank you. First, I would like the graduates to rise. Would you please rise? And now turn and bow to those who have given you support and love through your journey in college. Thank you. Now be seated. As I said, this is my last official act as president of Unity College, and so I'm going to go a little off script. I hope you'll be tolerant. I realized that there were several things that I wish that I'd learned in college, and I could put down 15 or 20 of those things, but I settled on 12, so to spare you. And so let me begin by saying what my parents often said to me. They often said, "We only want you to be happy." And then it usually, what followed was, "So stop doing whatever you're doing." Well, maybe I'm a failure, but rarely have I accurately predicted what would make me happy. Ironically, happiness often seems to be an unintended consequence of my inability to get what I want. Felix Adler said, "The purpose of life is not happiness, but worthiness." But worthy for what? And who determines what is worthy? So here's lesson number 1. These are 12 lessons that I wish I had learned in college. Number 1, we need each other. It is the fact that we all live in the shelter of each other, and this is simply not negotiable. The breakthrough last week in Paris on climate change makes it clear that we must work together on a global scale in order to preserve our very civilization. As a scientist, I can get my nerd on and say that we are obligate social primates. Natural selection, acting over countless variations of the human organism, has created our obligate need for one another. We have no claws, no fur, no fangs, and we don't run very fast. Intelligence alone will not save you from becoming a predator's lunch, or for that matter, assure your success in modern life. It is our collective power and wisdom that determine our success as a species and as individuals. Working and living alone for any extended period is, without exception, deeply painful. I try to respect this reality at all times. Lesson number 2. All other lessons are in some way derived from lesson number 1. Lesson number 3. Our genes do not determine who we are, but neither does our environment. Nature versus nurture is not a useful way to understand the human condition. Instead, our lives are a consequence of nature via nurture. If you're not in a coma, you know that you're not a blank slate at birth. Trust me, your mom knows this. Only a few academic behavioral scientists continue to study the proposition that we are largely programmed by our experiences. Instead, our experiences shape the expression of our instincts. Because we no longer live in the evolutionary past that created our nature, it is appropriate to have compassion for the inappropriate expression of our instincts. I have found that shaming and blaming others are not useful tools for getting what I need to be whole. Lesson number 4. Never underestimate your brain chemistry and wiring. If you think that you can be the complete master of your thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, think again. You are wrong. In order to have a fighting chance at having an effective life and perhaps stumbling on happiness, I need to have a healthy respect for the extent to which I can be hijacked by fear and for my biased perceptions of reality. Lesson number 5. Self-awareness is my most powerful tool in managing my thoughts and emotions and thus my actions. Without self-awareness, I react rather than act. As far as I know, a human is the only organism on Earth that can observe its own thinking. I try, often unsuccessfully, to cultivate mindfulness in all that I do. Lesson number 6. Humility is a core value for my existence. Every time I have been convinced that I had the truth in a corner, I was wrong, at least to some degree. My tendency to see the world in terms of absolutes has not been helpful. This is why I characterize myself as an environmental scientist and not an environmentalist. I usually agree with my environmentalist friends on issues related to the well-being of our planet, but I find that they are sometimes mindlessly strident. Before you rail against the man, Make sure that your facts are sound and you understand his motives. Because we are in this together, I try to walk in another's shoes before I judge. Lesson 7. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I feel. It really doesn't matter what I have to say. I am not judged by my intentions. I am judged instead by my actions. The only thing that matters to the world outside of the skin that I live in is what I do. I have found that my life has been defined by actions, and the response of the world to my action has in turn, for good or ill, defined what I think, what I feel, and what I have to say. Lesson 8. If I am uncomfortable with my situation in life, I have 3 options. I can change the situation, I can accept it, or I can boogie. Wisdom is knowing which path to take. In this sense, pain has been a touchstone for my personal growth when I have chosen poorly. Whenever I am upset with a person, I can find no peace until I accept that person exactly as they are. This does not mean I accept their actions, but only that I accept my powerlessness to change that person. Lesson 9. I do not try to do extraordinary things. Although my generation was raised on the belief that it is noble to strive for greatness, I have found that this is usually foolish. Instead, I try to be skillful at the ordinary things in life, such as being a scholar, writing with clarity, speaking well, working with discipline and perseverance, collaboration, feeling deeply, being physically healthy, being a true friend, loving my family, and cultivating a spiritual walk. My job is to make sure that I am prepared and able, and then to walk through the open doors to be of service. In turn, truly extraordinary events, opportunities, and people have found me. Lesson 10. I am not whole unless I am being of service. I get to define what service is. And in order to do this, I have to have a vision of what it can be. That means I need to know what can be done to make things better. If you are a leader, be responsible and act like one, and articulate your vision. If your vision is unselfish and true, you will be followed. If you are not one who can lead, find those who serve and speak for the greater good, and follow them. Lesson 11. In public discourse, I have found that too often the most important aspects of what is said are who is saying it and who is hearing it. The argument itself seems to be less important than cultural or social context. Is the speaker part of my tribe? Am I speaking to my tribe? Thus, I am skeptical of simple answers to complex problems. Addressing climate change and living sustainably on this planet will require humanity to understand the complexity of the various choices that we must make. I have contempt for any leader who appeals to me as part of a tribe rather than to my understanding of the problem and what needs to be done. Lesson 12. My sense of wonder and awe is the foundation of my well-being. The way I maintain my sense of wonder is through spiritual practice, often involving nature. All of the things that we can teach at Unity College, this is the one important area that we do not develop in any systematic fashion. For that, I offer my apologies. All my life I have asked the existential questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What is the universe? Through this questioning, I've developed my own personal spirituality. When I was a kid, I rode my bicycle across town to visit our pastor. I said to him, "Dr. Grant, tell me, what is the universe in?" He gave me some ice cream. For me, the universe seems to be a magnificent and infinite mind, rather than an exceedingly complex physical machine. This is personal, and you may see things differently, and you may grow and change through time in how you see these things. Each person develops this in their own way. But I know that without it, there is a vacancy in my sense of self, a hole in my gut that the wind blows through, a sense of longing that cannot be satisfied. Every generation has what Thomas Berry has called their great work. My father went ashore at Normandy Beach during World War II, and I know that he viewed this and the rebuilding of Europe as the great work of his time. The great work of our time is the development of a sustainable relationship with the earth. a challenge even more perilous than those faced by my father's generation. I am deeply grateful that as you leave here, you take with you the willingness and some of the tools to participate in the great work of our time. Real progress in the great work was made last week in Paris. Above all, never stop learning. I am astonished by the lament of the old-timer who says, "The older I am, the less I know." I want to shake him and say, dude, are you paying attention? How can you have a rich and meaningful life without constantly learning? In order for you to be of maximum service in this time of dire need, you must continue to grow in learning and understanding. The Climate Accord in Paris was merely a beginning, and we need all hands on deck. Keep growing and learning so you can give your best to the most important enterprise in the history of humanity. Finally, I'd like to end by offering Martin Kehoe's quote. He was the editor of a remarkable volume called The Hope Beneath Our Feet. If you look at the science about what's happening on Earth and you aren't pessimistic, you don't understand the data. But if you meet the people who are working to restore this Earth and the lives of the poor, and you aren't optimistic, you haven't got a pulse. Graduates, you are those people. Thank you for the privilege of spending the last few years working with and for you. Godspeed and good luck.
Well, we're about at that point, be the time that you've been waiting for 4 years. Will the graduate candidates please stand? Mr. President, I commend to you these graduate candidates who will soon have successfully satisfied course requirements and have been recommended by the faculty for the conferral of their respective degrees.
I congratulate you for your efforts toward completing your degree. Effective December 31st, following the completion of all degree requirements, you will later be mailed your diploma. You will now come forth to the stage and receive a token of our congratulations.
Receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree, Timothy B. Hill. Receiving the Bachelor of Science degree, Samantha L. Adamczyk. Tyler M. Adams. Natalie J. Amaral. Sean J. Andrews. Thomas J. Bednar. Leon Berman. Elmer J. DeForge III. Jessica L. Dyer. Stacy L. Fauché. Mark A. Glod. Kelsey N. Gustafson. Sasha Hamlin. Matthew D. Martino. Jared M. Meyer. Deliska M. Palara. Michaela Robinson. Dawn R. Walls. And our last member of this graduating class, Joseph K. Whitman.
Candidates, please stand. It is time to celebrate your efforts, accomplishments, and achievements. Please join me in recognizing the Unity College December graduate candidates. Congratulations to you all. You guys are terrific. The stage will form a receiving line in the lobby following a recessional of the stage party and the graduates. I would ask that the audience remain seated while the graduates and the stage party exit. Any faculty and staff who wish to congratulate the candidates may join the receiving line. Refreshments are being provided by Unity College Catering, and we invite all of you to join us in the lobby. I now declare our celebration closed.